After the success of the Ashland Harbor, the stalemate finally broke. Edward's vision of industry and John's vision of community finally worked side by side. Cargo on one end, ferries on the other. This land right here by the highway has been left empty for decades. It's been locked in the same fight between factories and housing, logistics and green space. Businesses wanted a new industrial park, residents wanted affordable neighborhoods. Politicians didn't want to choose, because whichever side they picked, the other would show up at every council meeting, tank their approval ratings, and probably fund their opponent in the next election. But the Harbour changed that. It proved compromise could work, and Ashland's politicians are seeing a ribbon cutting so big they could run a campaign on it. So today, we're going to build what I'm calling an urban industrial park, featuring a massive industrial core, parks, trails, schools, shops, and mid-rise housing to tie it all together. Let's jump in. Welcome back to Ashland, and the first thing that we need to do is we need to get some money flow happening right now because we are pretty much broke. We have negative 3,200, and with this build, I imagine it's going to be quite expensive to actually maintain and to just purchase outright. So let's do a quick amount of zoning, and I'm thinking what we'll do is I'll just place some zoning right alongside this street, maybe some here as well, but I'm not too worried about it, and I'm going to jump ahead to this being done right now. Okay, and so to walk through what I did, I added a row of apartment buildings alongside here, a nice little commercial building. We have a nice little park here and this beautiful pedestrian path that cuts through these buildings. I wanted these buildings to try and be double-sided. It's an okay attempt. You can definitely see there's some issues that we're going to cover up with some landscaping. But when you walk down here, you have this nice open view in your backyard, or I guess if you can call it a backyard, you would have this beautiful tree-lined pedestrian road. You can walk out of the main building or the door and immediately go across and you have shops. And I believe these are mixed use. Yeah, they are. So these will also have housing in them as well. And overall, it's just a nice little mix of commercial, housing, access to a park, and I think it works really well. Over here, I did something similar, just in a different style. So we have a few commercial businesses alongside here. Then we have a few big offices just to really try and bump up our tax revenue. On the other side, we have some medium density housing. I want it to feel dense, but not like skyscraper dense, kind of like this. I just want it to be nice and gentle, and I think I achieved that. Over here, again, I just added some small mixed use buildings, tried to vary it up from their style to their color, and I think it came out really nicely. And then my favorite spot, well actually, we'll go to my favorite spot next. Then I added some offices and commercial buildings alongside here. Again, tried to make them seem like they were all part of one cohesive unit. Right here, I love these buildings. I wish there was more of them because I could seriously just make a city out of these buildings alone. I won't because it'd be very repetitive, but these assets are just so versatile. So it's just mixed use between commercial and housing, but between the roofs, between the detail, between the designs, I love them so much. And they have natural row houses on the sides of them, which just creates such a good look. Now I couldn't get this to be long enough, so I just added 2 right side corners here. And if you look closely, you can see that there's a small issue, but we'll ignore it. Right here, I just added 4 corner pieces, put a pedestrian road right through here, and then I added just a few of them over here. And all together, that gives us, oh yeah, also, I changed the district. So we have Birch Heights, which will just be this main area, and then we have Upper Birch right here. And I'll probably break this down further, and so I'll probably break it off, like let's say right here. Essentially, everything that's past this line of the elevated rail will be Birch Heights, and everything that's on this side of it will be Upper Birch, and I'll probably cut it off, let's say right here, and then have a different district for this area. Now, before I forget, I want to make sure I'm adding all of the services in to Upper Birch as well. Okay, and with that done, we should have all of our services assigned, and just taking a look at how many households we've added, it's roughly about 800. Right now, there's only 577 residents with 655 employees. So what I'm hoping is that this will give us enough positive tax revenue where I can add the things that I want to add for this super cool build that I'm so excited for. Let's see. So I'm going to quickly simulate everything. Okay, and we seem to be stabilizing kind of around $14,000 to $16,000 per hour, which is exactly what I wanted to see. Now we're finally ready to start because, again, we're going to need a lot of money, or at least the ability to pay for a loan to take out the money. And if we're in a massive deficit, that's not going to work. So let's take a look at our loan right now. We have $218,000 of surplus. And if we wanted to borrow, let's say 10 million, yeah, so we'd still be in a pretty bad deficit. I'm hoping some of the zoning today will help that, because we'll probably need to take, I'm going to try not to, but we're probably going to need to take a fairly decent loan, maybe 5 million. So now we need to think about the considerations of where this build will actually go. And the university would probably have a lot of pushback for anywhere near it. So we can pretty much write off this entire area right here. And that leaves us with somewhere around here. And the reason why I say this is because it already has good access to our passenger rail. It has good access to our cargo terminal and our cargo port. I don't want to build it across the shore from Birch Heights because it'd just look a bit rough and it would kind of ruin the view that Birch Heights has, along with the waterfront district as well. Although I don't think it's going to look that bad. Well, at least I'm going to try to make it not look that bad. And it seems like something burnt down over here. It was our recycling center. Okay. We're going to rebuild that, and now everything should be good, and we're definitely going to lose a bit of money, but that's fine, that's fine. Like I was saying, that leaves me with two areas, here or here. And looking at here, we can see that there is a lot of contours, there's a lot of slopes that we need to work around. Right here, not so much. So to me, this is pretty much the ideal candidate for this new area. This is going to be a highly efficient and expensive project, so I would expect to see a bit of terrain being leveled out here. And plus, honestly, it'll just make this specific build a lot easier. And I think what I'm tempted to do is just pull this all the way back and then add a retaining wall onto our rail line. Okay, now we have a nice, big, beautiful plot to work from, but we still have one thing we need to do, and that is add some type of interchange or off-ramp. And we'll try and connect both of these up and ideally connect into our old industrial park as well. So first, I want to align some type of road just to the train tracks. So we'll go up about, let's say 10 units. We'll go over on both sides, and it doesn't really matter what the height is. And then we'll delete this monstrosity. And now we need to build the off-ramps onto this road. Let's flatten this area right here because I find it so much easier to work on off-ramps when you have a bit of space and there's not too much variation. Also, I'm noticing that there's some issues with our highway. So I'm gonna Control H this to be all the same height, let's say right about here. And what have I done? Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, let's reset that. I don't want to know what would happen if we kept that in. I could see some funky things happen with the game. I'm going to delete these, and then I'll try leveling the highway. There we go. And the only reason I want to do that is just because it looked like the highway was underneath our water line, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but I imagine that would make this perceptible to flooding. And I have the memory of a goldfish. I almost forgot. I was just about to start making the off-ramps and on-ramps. So let's add this back in. And one thing I do regret is making it underneath the ground. I kind of wish I made it above ground. And it's funny because I say that with no intention of fixing it. I want to try and line this up if I can. I don't know how easy it'll be, but we're going to try anyways. And we'll go about 0.5 units away in terms of separation for a parallel road. And we'll send that right about there. And now let's just cut this off. And then we're going to grab right here, go up about, I think we need to hit roughly 8.5 meters. And because I've made these so close, I've kind of made it difficult for myself. I wanted to branch off from this one, but instead I can just branch off from this one. And I'm going to start with the easy movements first. I think that makes a bit more sense. So the first easy one is directly into here. And then the second easy one is directly into here. And then we'll upgrade these to be 3 lanes. And now we need this one to branch off and go into here. And I'm tempted to try and make it underground to see if that will help. And then this will need to be a 3-lane as well. And then we'll upgrade this one to be a 3-lane right up front, just to give me a snapping point. We're going to increase our height to 7.5 meters. And we'll do this fairly quickly. And that has already done a bunch of things that I'm not liking. And so for the meantime, I'm gonna grab this and just pull it all back. I'm gonna try and remember to add it back. So I'll set that height right there. So it's a reminder that's roughly where this was. And then we'll go up at a 180-degree angle just to give me a clean break off. We'll only go 2.5 meters here, and then we'll increase to 5 meters. That just might be enough, probably not though. Either way, I think what we're gonna do is something kind of like this right here. And it looks like it's just slightly too short. It would need to be just a bit higher. And that should be high enough, but for safe measure, let's grab this semi-truck and we'll place it underneath. And yeah, it looks like we have a good amount of clearance. We'll turn snap to existing geometry back on, and we're just gonna send this all the way down, trying to get it to align into this area right here. Okay, now this needs to be a two-way, so we'll upgrade this one, and we'll upgrade this one as well. Overall, it's not bad. I do think this one could maybe be extended out just a bit further. So I'll try one more time with this off ramp or on ramp, I guess. It's a bit better. I'm not gonna worry about it too much though. I'm just gonna quickly fix this up. So we'll turn this to an elevated segment. And we'll definitely detail this later just to make it a bit prettier because right now it's an eyesore. But now what we're gonna do is grab this 6-lane divided road and just connect into our two highways. We're gonna remove these lights and just check our movements. Yeah, we'll remove all unsafe and this U-turn. Now, what I wanna do is add another interchange for here and somehow connect it into our industrial park. The way I was thinking about doing that is by changing this setup just a bit. So maybe we start bridging over these train tracks a bit earlier, meet up somewhere down here, and then we can do our interchange right here. So we'll go up 8.75 meters, and I think that should be high enough to clear these without a problem. As long as we go about 27 units, that gives us a grade of 3.8%, which is not bad at all. I'll take it. We'll drop it back down to 0, and it would be fairly important that the grade isn't too steep because a lot of trucks would be taking this. We'll go out 40 units, and that'll give us 5%. Let's quickly upgrade this to be elevated, and then we'll key this side, and just want to make sure, is that tall enough? And it doesn't seem like it is. These light poles are kind of sticking through. These aren't light poles, these are electric cables. I'm pretty sure they're electric cables. I don't know trains. Yeah, so that's not going to be high enough. So I think we'll actually have to go up 10 meters, which is a bit crazy. But if we need to do it, then we need to do it. Yeah, that's high. Maybe even too high, I'd say. Then we'll grab this and just drop it all the way down. Again, trying to get something that's reasonable. Negative 4.3%, I can take it. And I'll take a break from this for a second to send this road further down. And if you're wondering why a 6-lane divided road, I'm going with a lot of capacity up front, and if we need to, we'll reduce it. Okay, and now we have our interchange, and this is where things get a bit tricky. Because we have our rail right here, we'll need to be a bit careful of how we do this. So I think I'll keep the height that the road is at, and I'll just send it all the way through for now. It'll be a bit ridiculous. And then from here, we need to do our branches, so we'll branch on this way, so on and so forth. Okay, and after a bunch of work, it's still in a pretty rough place, but I've cleaned it up considerably. I think it looks much, much nicer. I just want to check and make sure that truck could still fit under here. Yes, it could, so it would be coming down. And what about this one? Yeah, still tons of room right here for a truck to fit under. So now I want to connect these two in, and this is where it probably gets even more difficult. So we need to immediately change down to a lower road, or we need to increase to a higher capacity road for right here. And given the space, we might do it. I'll worry about that after. Right now I just want to make sure we're actually getting this connection in. And that gives us negative 3.8%. Not bad. Okay, now the first thing we need is 2 entrances, and we'll just use the normal 4-lane road for now. And we'll delete this part in the middle. I want to branch off kind of like this and follow the extra terrain that we've given ourselves. And then we'll do something kind of like this right here. And then this road will also go straight, but we'll upgrade it so it has a tree-lined road right in the median. And this right here will be somewhat of our residential sector, so now we just need a road that ends this off. And I think what we'll do is just go in a 90 and then connect these two together. I want to continue the road down, and then we'll angle it just a tiny bit. Now I see this is our residential sector, and then I see this is a bunch of industrial. I'm trying to make this the biggest industrial sector I've made so far, and I'm also trying to make it the most different as well. Now I want to think about what these businesses would actually need, and I'm going to imagine that water would be a big one. And it seems like our groundwater that was used for our geothermal power plant is pretty much all polluted now. There's not much we can do with this water. Really, I want water just for the industrial sector so that they could use it to process or manufacture. Doesn't seem like I'll be able to just add this in naturally. So instead what I'll do is I'll just use a static ploppable. Now I want to get our first building in, and we'll use the switch on. And I just want to align this to the back of here. So I'm going to place it down like that for now. I'm going to try and snap to the back of this building. So right there. And now I just want to flip this around. And I think maybe this one can be in the middle. I'll put it in the middle for now. And then I also want the vehicle factory, but it seems like we're missing 4 oil drilling hubs. And honestly, it would be pretty easy to just get. I would just make these a bit smaller. And I added more oil rigs anyways as props, just to make it look a bit more interesting. So even though this is kind of cheating, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place down 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's unlocked. And our vehicle factory is quite a massive one. In fact, it might even take up most of the space. And I think I'm gonna place that right there for now. Then I'm gonna grab another 4-lane road, and I'm gonna send it straight across. And then I might move this over just a bit. And then we have the pharma building, and it requires medical university. We already have one massive university, and I could maybe say to some degree that there is some medical teachings. I don't know, maybe something happening over there. And I do want to add it in, so I am just going to add this in. And then I just spammed the mining buildings to get the ground earth. I think we can definitely place this maybe somewhere like right here. And the more I think about this, I think what I'll actually do is move this one all the way over. And maybe we'll get this one aligned here. So I'm gonna move these two out of the way for now. I'm gonna grab a nice big 4-lane road and send it all the way through to here. And then I'll grab our switch on and we'll place it, let's say right here on the side. And then we have our ground earth. Oh, so close to just putting it here instead. And then we're also gonna add in our dairy house because it just makes sense. And I think maybe we'll add that close to our pharmacy building. And because our switch on is making things like electronics, I think I'll have the ground earth building run right behind it as if they were part of one unit. So maybe this is supplying the switch on with the electronics, maybe even the vehicle factory as well. And now I need an alleyway that's a bit wider because right now this one's just a bit too small. So let's go into road builder. Yeah, I think that's a good size right there. Let's call this wide alley. And then I'm going to pull it all the way down from this side and connect directly into here. And I think I'll move it to here instead, just so I can gentle this turn a bit, because it was a bit too tight before. But now if we come in right here and we do a nice gentle curve, maybe something kind of like that, we should be able to just send this through. Okay, now in the middle, I want a bunch of warehouse space. So we're going to use our static ploppables and we're going to go down to industrial. And we might even actually just go to, I know some of our buildings come with a bunch of warehouse space, like Like our cargo port, I believe, has a really big warehouse. Even these ones right here, the cargo warehouses, they're not perfect, but they're not bad at all. We also have the cargo train terminal, the storage warehouses. I think these can work too. We have the post sorting facility, the storage extension, the loading ramps, and even this little unit right here. I think we can definitely get these added in as well. And there we go, that's not that bad. So I just put 2 of these assets together and then put a few little garages or storage garages into there. And that gives us a pretty big building that looks really nice. I like it. And then we have this subway yard, and I don't think it really necessarily needs to look like a subway yard. It does kind of feel like there is some type of manufacturing or warehouse capability to this building. And so we're going to add it in as well. I'm wondering, maybe we could do 2? Because there's nothing really going on in the back except for a few doors. So maybe if we pull them together, we can get something that just feels a bit more grand. And we can position that to be on this side over here. I think we need some basic storage for this building. So let's try and find something that we can put a few of them together to get something that fits this building. And I think it might actually just be this asset right here. And I think that's pretty much it. I think this is kind of all we need. We'll pick up more pieces as we go. I also added this emergency battery station just to have some backup for the power. Okay, now we need some residential here to actually support all of this that's going on. And I think the way we're going to do this is, first we're going to break this up. That way we have 2 separate plots. Now we're going to set our building level to 5. We're going to turn on southwest, and I'm looking for one of these right here. They are a bit big, but we should be able to make it work. We can maybe mix them up between this and this. Really what I'm looking for is just some assets that feel big, that feel new, they're purpose-built. And actually, I think I might just take this building. This one is just a bit too big. It's not bad, but it's just a bit too big. It feels like it's a bit too much for this area. And I'm okay if the asset does a bit of repeating. Now I want to make sure each of these has a good amount of space. So let's say 4 units. And just with these buildings alone, we've already added 1,600 households, only 880 employees, but I imagine this will increase once we start fixing things up a bit. And I think 1,600 households should be enough. That should give us around 4,000 people. Now right here, I want this to be a big open green space. If we're going to be adding in all these people right here, we need to make sure we're doing as much as we possibly can to reduce the pollution, the air quality, the pretty much everything that would impact their daily lives. Now I want to split this area up just a bit, and I think I'll grab right about here, one full circle, and I'll pull this all the way over like that. We're going to add our trees and our grass. And this will also be some park space. Again, just really trying to separate this. Then right here, we can have some shops. We can have maybe some offices. And so if we're going to add shops and offices to this road, I want to make sure it's nice and walkable. So let's grab a pedestrian road. We'll grab right in the middle of this road, and we'll send that all the way through. And then we'll send this one all the way through as well. And I feel like this asset right here could kind of feel like a grocery store. And we're going to face the back of the assets towards the road. Another one right there. And actually, maybe we'll do something a bit different. Let's get rid of this one. And let's place that one right there. Feels a bit more inviting. And then I think along Carlisle Lane, we'll have 2 of these. I imagine this is somewhere where you get food or drinks or clothes or whatever you get in these kind of little small shopping areas. Okay, so we have our shops, we have groceries, we have... I think that's pretty good for commercial. Now we need some form of medical. And if we just adjust this road a tiny bit, we could probably get this asset in, or we could have a small medical clinic. And I think we'll actually just go with the Japanese Medical Center, because we should be able to place this right alongside here. They'll have strong access to this road, quick access to the residents, and quick access to the industrial. And of course, if we're trying to get people to come live here, these people might have families, they might have children. So we need some type of basic elementary school. And I think the Chinese Ruby Rock Elementary School is actually going to be the best fit. And again, we'll have it front the pedestrian road, but we'll need to get rid of the parking. And then we'll pull it a bit closer. And this school would only be available to people who actually live in this district. I'm trying to think, if there's teenage students in this area, they would have to essentially bus to what? Birch? Yeah, they'd have to bus to Birch, which means they need to come up here, get on this road, get on the highway, and enter into Birch. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not exactly excited about building a high school in this area, only because this is pretty much the smallest asset. The rest are decently big. I mean, we could probably go with the urban high school. Yeah, you know what? I think we could go with the urban high school. I think that should work. I think we'll place that nice and close. And actually, no, we'll give it a little bit of buffer space. And just like that, we are out of money. And I can't click play because we don't own these tiles. And we need 5 million. 5,255,000 per month. That's insane. That's insane. And I don't know why it shows us that we're making 130K when I select these tiles. That's kind of weird. See, 4,000, 130K. Either way, we're going to go into our loans, and this is going to be a bit insane. Ooh, that's a bit insane, definitely. That puts us at a deficit of negative 410,000 per month. It's not that bad. We could definitely work with it, but it is a bit scary. 6 million. I think if we got 6 million, we could probably buy all of the tiles we need. And yeah, about 5 million. And it gives us a little bit of money left over. I think we don't need that tile. I think we can live without that one. Our road isn't even actually in it. Yeah, I think we're going to grab a $6 million loan. This is going to hurt. Maybe we'll go gentle. We'll go 5.5 million. And we'll buy these tiles and these two right here. And there we go. We're losing $24,000 per hour now. But now I can actually click play and let everything fill in. Okay, and I have clearly forgotten about a bunch of things. For one, death care. We need to add death care in immediately. This is something that we would have to have. Definitely not beside both of our schools. We're not doing that. And maybe we'll add it right beside our little water processing unit, our water reservoir. And let's just make sure we assign this to only operate in this district right here. And we should probably do the same with all of our services. We only want them operating in this district. And now that I'm looking at this, the high school actually has a pretty cool extension. How much does it cost per month? Ooh, it's kind of expensive. Okay, now our death care should take care of that. How's our medical clinic doing? 5 out of 5 dispatched. I'm surprised to see such a requirement. And we still have traffic here. And it's not a big surprise. People are still moving into the city. I think what I want to do though is upgrade this to be a highway road. And what I actually want is a 6-lane highway. So we'll use Road Builder. And we're just going to add in one more lane, and we'll do that right here. And then we'll call it 6-lane highway. Okay, now we should be able to take our 6-lane highway, which is just insane to say out loud, and add that right there. And that's just to prevent people from parking on this road, because I really don't want to see people parking here. And it's the same thing with this one, except for this road, we'll just add trees and grass. But we do need to give people places to park, and these don't have power. Oh, I wonder why. What's the issue? Oh, it's not connected because of this. Okay. Given the power needs for this area, there's no way that we can just put power lines or put lighting on the highway and call it a day. We need to actually do something a bit more substantial for here. And we're going to add a transformer. And I think we'll just add that right here, right beside this area. But I misclicked. So I need to delete this and add it back in. Wasting money for fun. I love it. And I wish I could add it right there. It doesn't seem like I can. But now we can actually just take this and connect it into our previous grid. And it's great because our geothermal power plant is right there. So we have no problem with this. And that should fix all of that, and yes it does. Perfect. Now I'm surprised to see that our medical situation is a lot worse than it should be. This medical clinic is pretty big. Either way, while all of this is kind of settling out, especially our medical situation, we need to get some parking in. And I think we could probably add it alongside here. Not all of it, but a fair amount of it. I think we could add one right here, another right here. Honestly, we could probably just put as many as we want of these. This should already give us, let's see, 320, so about 640 parking spots. And this should already help with a bunch of demand, and I've already committed a sin. Having this too close to this turn will create a bunch of traffic issues. So instead, we'll center this roughly right there, and we're gonna do the same thing with this one. We'll try and move them a bit more towards the middle, and we're gonna remove the light here. We're gonna remove unsafe because that's insane. We also don't want parking on any of these roads. These are the roads that trucks will be turning into, so they need to have a completely unobstructed area for turning. And then for our switch on, we're gonna make some parking for it. And then we'll also connect this into here as well. Okay, now I think it's time to add in some ploppable industrial blocks. And what I'm thinking is we'll have one right here by this door and another one by this door as well. So we'll turn off snap to road and just trying to make sure we get that nice and aligned right there. And then we'll grab this and we'll set our pedestrian gate to be right here. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. We'll set our pedestrian gate to be right here. And then we're gonna need to pretty much go all the way around this building right here, and almost all of them actually, to add in a bunch of concrete. And the reason we'll do this is to make it feel like it's actually one lot. So instead of having all of these different separate plots, this is essentially one business, one massive industrial business. Maybe this is their storage and this is their main kind of manufacturing set. I don't know. Or maybe this is even just storage. And we pretty much have to do that with all of our buildings. And I just want to make a quick mental note. So we have 1,121 total available jobs. I'd like to see that number go just a bit higher after we add all of these in. And then for this building, I think the block should be plopped in here. I think that would make the most sense. The only thing I'm wondering is, can I plop more than one here? This is a pretty massive building, and I would expect just a bit more to be going on. So if I do something kind of like that, how does that end up working? Or am I thinking about this the wrong way? Should this be in the garages instead? I almost feel like maybe it should be here, and then what we do is we place the pedestrian gate right here. I feel like that probably makes a bit more sense. I guess it just depends on where the vehicles are moving. Oops, and I didn't mean to do this. Kind of cool to see the inside, I guess. It's kind of massive. Am I just shorter than everyone? No, okay, I'm the same height. Lots of people, lots of activity, it's nice. Lots of taxis. Anyways, so yeah, I wonder if placing it here instead makes more sense. I guess we'll find out. So this one employs only 16, that's a bit rough. And this one employs again 16. Not ideal, I would say. Next up, I think we'll do this one right here. And I don't feel like these would be part of the same unit. Maybe we move this over here and have it be its own separate building. And we remove these parking lights because that's insane. And then for right here, what we do is we'll split this up into two. So I think if we grab our wide alley, we should be able to come along right here and we'll add that road in. And I'm only using that as a visual separator for myself. So I know how to roughly separate these two buildings. There's one building, and then we'll do this building as well. So we got about 1,300 or about 1,400, and we seem to be doing neutral, which is why. High crime risk. How could I forget police? That's two services I forgot now. Don't add that to the list of things I forget. I have the memory of a goldfish. And I think we'll go with the Chinese local police station. It feels like it could fit in with everything else. It almost feels a bit industrial. And I think we'll place that right across from this building or on the outskirts. I'm tempted to place it more on the outskirts instead because we're already going to have traffic problems here and we have our parking lots. So by adding police to the mix, we're only making it just a bit worse. So I think we'll add it maybe right about here. And then we'll just pull it back a bit and we'll make sure it only operates in this district. And we do have an upgrade for an extra 6 patrol cars and it's only $9,000 a month, only $18,000 up front. That's not bad whatsoever. I think we'll see how crime is. If crime doesn't really improve all that much, then we'll definitely get that fixed. We also need mail service. Wow, I'm on a roll for forgetting services today. So let's add some mail service in. And I can't remember if we can recolor this building or not. I'm not a big fan of the red. If we can recolor it, this one seems the most ideal to me. So let's add that in and see. I hope we can because we spent all of our money. Yes, we can. Perfect. Okay. We'll select the operating district to be only Walnut Heights. And let's go through and place quite a few mailboxes. Okay, I think that should do the trick. I tried to give fairly good access to all the businesses, but mostly focused on getting a bunch around this more residential and commercial area. And I feel like that should solve a lot of our problems. So we'll have to let this play out for a bit to see. Next up is small homes. We can't solve that. Lack of entertainment, we can definitely solve that. And I plan on adding some parks anyways, so might as well get started on a few right now. And I think the first park we'll add is a large playground. And we're going to add that right here, right beside this building. And we'll flip this around. What we need is a pedestrian road. So we'll grab onto right here, right in the middle. The only problem is I don't want people thinking they can drive onto this. So instead, maybe we'll do something more like this. And now I want to flip this building around to do something a bit more like that instead. Feels a bit more appropriate for a children's playground. And then I want to make sure that we're actually getting really good bonuses from these parks. So I think I'll place in a few of these as well. The Fountain Plaza is just a bit too big. Or the small plaza is just a bit too big. I don't think there's anything else that would fit in between the buildings. Yeah, unfortunately not. Although we could place 2 of these to change it up. I think I'll actually do that instead. I'll place this playground right there, and then we'll grab one here, and I think that right there should do. All right, now let's check in to see how everyone is doing. They're content. Their only problem right now is unreliable mail service and small homes. And I'm wondering if it's these people. Okay, there we go. The reliable mail service just went away. It's still just small homes. Small homes is not something we can do anything about. These people moved here to pretty much work in this area. Now, before I leave this, I might as well just connect up all of these paths. And I totally forgot that these assets have garages in them, which means they would want some form of road access. And I don't want to give it to any of these buildings. I don't mind doing it for this one because it has the road access right here. Where it becomes problematic is giving each of these road access in a nice clean way without taking up the park space. And I don't know what to do about that. I don't know what to do with that, so I'm just gonna not do anything about it. And I was thinking, what if we add that kindergarten building? I can't remember where it is. Okay, I found it. It's the Chinese Community Kindergarten, and I feel like we could add this right here, right beside our schools. It makes a lot of sense, so I'm gonna add it right there, and then I'm gonna pull this back just a bit to give it a bit of space to breathe. And we don't have any upgrades, so we don't need to worry about that. But this pretty much just gives a +5 well-being and a +2 outdoor recreation. And I think it just makes sense. If we're going to provide an elementary, we're going to provide a high school, we might as well provide some sort of community kindergarten, because I feel like these people, the owners of these businesses, are very forward-thinking, and they're trying to provide the absolute best experience for their employees, because a lot of these would be highly technical skills, like the switch on, even the vehicle factory to a degree. And really, they just want to retain their employees. Most people don't realize, but the cost of retaining an employee is much cheaper than hiring a new employee. And I figured we could add a few more buildings, like maybe the welfare center. I wouldn't really see it as a welfare center. Maybe I'd see it more as like a city hall type of building for this area. But we're broke and we have no money. And let's take a quick look. Most of our households are filled. That brings us to 3,600 residents. We have 1,400 employees that are active, and we have about 200 open positions. So there's still a few more things we can do here. And I wonder how many working adults and seniors is there roughly? 2,000 adults, 500 seniors. So maybe we need to increase, yeah, we definitely need to increase the amount of jobs we have here. And I don't think I've done this one yet. So I'll add the industrial into here as well. Are these garage doors? I honestly don't know. I'm looking at it now and it doesn't seem like it's actually a door or like a warehouse storage door. I'm gonna pretend that they are. And if they aren't, well then, I don't know what to say. Let's just tone down these colors a bit. And I think this one worked really well. We already had the alleyway here. And so all I had to do was just place the pedestrian gate right here and right here. And quick check, what did we add? Only like 100 jobs. That's kind of rough. That's kind of rough. I think we can do the same thing for this one as well. I think I want to grab everything except for the surfaces and then just give that a nudge over. And it's going to do a lot of crazy things, but it should work. And then duplicate this building. And then just go through and add some surface blocks to this one now. Now the only thing I worry is that they don't have access to this. I feel like they should, but I'd rather be on the safe side. And so I'll send a direct connection in. And I'll do the same thing with this one as well. Now we're getting closer to at least matching the adult population that we have. And now I think we'll have to do kind of the same thing as we did for this one, but for this one right here. And I don't want there to be connections into this road. I want it to come from wherever the main gate of this building comes from. And so I could imagine that it would probably be somewhere right around here. Or honestly, we could just say it's right here. And then we'll send this all the way up. And then I'll send this into each of these little areas. And now we should be able to take our static ploppables and we'll go 1 by 2, and then we'll add one in. And I'm not sure if we'll add one in for each garage. That seems like it might be a bit overkill. We'll try and split them up like that. Okay, and really, I'm just trying to match our adult population. I don't want to get too crazy with these static ploppables because I'm really not sure of what impact they'll have on the game or the economy. And it seems like we're only at 864, so I'll add a few more in. And for some reason, seeing that police car go down there reminded me that we should probably add road maintenance. I don't think we can afford it though, so I'd love to, but I don't think that's in the cards. Unless we start making a crazy amount of money, we just won't be able to. We're barely holding on. We're bouncing between negative 2,000 to roughly positive 3,000. Honestly, if we paid off our loan, we'd definitely be in a better place. So that's kind of the goal. As soon as possible, we need to pay this off. And there's not much I can do for taxes. We're already at a pretty standard rate. And it seems like if we just stretch this to its absolute limit, we could add a few more in here as well. And then we just need to make sure that this has access, so we'll pull that down to there. And I think that should be enough, but for safe measures, I'll also send it all the way in the building. All right, where are we at now? 2,081 jobs. How many adults? 2,007. I can't imagine we'd have too many seniors in this area. I imagine if you're retiring, you're probably moving to somewhere else. We have a bunch of different locations to move to. You go to Lithia Gardens if you can afford it. And it also looks like we're in the green by quite a bit now. 8,000 per hour, 11,000 per hour. You love to see it. What does our production look like? Let's go to material goods. We're producing an insane amount of minerals. I wonder if we even have enough of stone or ore to actually produce that many. I hope one day for better panels so we can understand these numbers a bit more. We're producing an insane amount of timber as well, which is probably why we have a deficit on our wood. So we probably need to increase that just by a bit sometime soon. And I was debating on whether or not to add in the solar power plant, and I think I've decided against it. It's a very big and bright building, but the main problem is that I consistently change my time and my cloud settings fairly often, which means that I'll be the one bottlenecking it. I could just always leave it at 12 p.m., but then I'm kind of just maxing it out. So I don't know. I'll probably not include that for now. All right, now we're doing a pretty solid job of making quite a bit of money. So I'd like to add one more building, or at least a few more buildings alongside here. And I'm thinking maybe we could use one of these administration buildings. We added our kindergarten. We could add the Japanese health and welfare office. I don't know if it's the greatest fit though. Maybe I'm thinking we'll add in the Eastern European welfare office. And it doesn't have to be a welfare office. It could really be whatever we want it to be. And I'll probably have it face this road, and maybe we'll have it all the way down here right near our police station. I believe that is. Yeah, our police station. We'll also extend this pedestrian road all the way down just to improve walkability, just that extra little bit. And then I think we really just need a few more commercial buildings along here. I don't really want to add a gas station, but I definitely think we should have at least one. So we'll have one right there. And actually maybe a few more buildings alongside here as well. And there we go. Now it's looking a bit more alive. And you know what? Maybe we'll give the same treatment to this road as well. I'm just trying to be a bit cautious of how many businesses I put in, because we would need to be able to support all of these businesses with our current population. And it's not like we have a bunch of population. Yeah, we can see we're starting to have not enough customers. I definitely think that's a smart indicator of when to call it, is when we start seeing this. If we need to, we could always add in more residents, but I don't think I want to. All right, now for detailing, there's a few key things I want to do. I want to add a little park here, a little pathway. I want to make this a little bit more pretty as well. I want to clean up some of these surfaces and make them feel a bit more cohesive. I want to add fences around pretty much all of these buildings and have dedicated ways in and out. And then the fences will go all along that. If there's too much empty space going on, kind of like there is right here, I'll probably throw some props down. I'll try to make it related to whatever is the closest industry to it. But either way, yeah, let's jump into detailing. Okay, and I'm pretty much done. I went through, added a few trucks. I like the trucks. I feel like it makes it feel way more alive. Sometimes there was a bit too many trucks, like right here, but I kind of just did it because I didn't know what else to put here. I was really at a loss, and so I was just like, okay, you know what, trucks it is. Along here, I imagine these trucks are parked, either in reserve or for whatever reason. There was boxes and open crates, and yeah, the industrial detailing was really the hardest part. There was so much that I could have put, and I felt like when I was putting a bunch down, it made it feel a bit wrong. I don't know what it was. At one point in time, I had a bunch of props all throughout, and it made it feel just a bit too messy. Kind of made it feel like this area over here, which is fine for this area because it's right beside a dump, and it was meant to feel really old, whereas this area over here is meant to feel really new. So it was a very hard contrast for me to detail for. I added a bunch of parks and a bunch of green space. I'm honestly really happy with how much green space there is. My whole entire thought process when I was doing all these parks was that, okay, we want people to stay in this area, we want people to want to work here. And as long as we have a bunch of green space and we give them things that, you know, maybe they wouldn't normally have access to in their daily lives, and we make it in abundance, then we could probably retain most of our employees. And that's when I realized that I was creating a monster. So I started to think of it like this. If you work here, then you probably live in the employee housing. If you live in the employee housing and you have children, they probably attend either this high school, this elementary school, or this daycare. Now, let's say any of these companies decides to fire you for whatever reason. Well, now your child has to leave their high school that they've been going to, or their kindergarten, or their elementary school, and you have to pack up and move somewhere else. So there is a lot of incentive not to get fired. But that's kind of a double-edged sword, because the companies can hold it over your head and essentially make you do things that you don't exactly want to do. So I feel like I may have created just a bit too much leverage with this area. I mean, we have a skate park, we have 3 basketball courts, there's so much green space, you have access to great jobs, and I feel like it might just hang over the employee's head just a bit too much. And to me, that signifies that this area is a monster. This entire area, everything about it is monstrous. But you know what? I'm still happy with it. I'm definitely still happy with it. Now for our last build, there's one change we're going to make. We got a comment from Joshua Callum or Callum. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. I'm going to stop now. They mentioned to add tram stops close to the hospital and the residential area. And I agree, we definitely need some of those. So I'm thinking we have this giant retaining wall and there's not much we can do about it. So we could have a stop right here and we'll just add it in. And at first I was thinking maybe we wouldn't do this because this is mostly just a tourist line, but it's actually fine because this is so low impact that I don't think it'd be such a big deal. We'll also add one by this path right here. And there we go, that should complete that. So now if you're a resident and you live in this area, you can just quickly hop on the tram, come down and either see the police, the medical clinic, or the crematorium. And hopefully it's not the last one. And I think with that, we're pretty much ready to do it before and after. And that is a wrap. Now this one kind of hurt my soul. I really liked the idea and I was super excited for it, but at the end, realizing I had created a monster was just a bit messed up. Either way, really hope you enjoyed. As always, big shout out to our Patreon members, Jake Hill, Gary Key, Deku, Ganger, and Griffin. If you want to check out Ashland for yourself, or help fund my questionable design choices, head over to Patreon. If you haven't already, a like, comment, and subscription really go a long way. Plus, YouTube recently added something called Hype. If you want to go to the extra mile, that would mean a lot. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one.